Have you ever felt it? That prickling sensation on the back of your neck? The feeling that someone is standing right behind you, even when you know you're completely alone. You turn around, and there's nothing but empty air. But for a split second, you were so sure. Across the world, countless people have reported seeing things they just can't explain. Flickering shadows in the corner of their eye. Cold whispers that seem to come from nowhere. Faces in mirrors that vanish the moment you blink. Most people brush it off. They call it imagination, a trick of the light. Their mind playing games with them. But others, they say it's proof. Proof that the dead never truly leave us. That there's a thin veil between our world and another. And sometimes, just sometimes, something crosses over. This is where our story begins. A small, dedicated team of paranormal investigators, tired of the sensationalism and fake ghost hunts on TV, decided to do something different. They wanted to collect real-life stories from ordinary people. Stories that were too personal, too vivid, and far too consistent to be ignored. They set up a simple hotline, a website, and a secure email, inviting people to share their experiences anonymously. They expected a few dozen responses, maybe 100 at most. What they got was a flood. Thousands of calls, emails, and letters poured in from every corner of the globe. Each one was a puzzle piece, a fragment of a much larger, more terrifying picture. The team began the daunting task of sifting through them, listening to every recording, reading every word. The stories were chillingly similar. A young woman in a new apartment swore that a child's laughter would echo through her empty attic every night, just after sundown. She described it as playful at first, but over the weeks, it began to sound mocking, almost cruel. She'd go up to check, flashlight in hand, heart pounding, only to find dust and forgotten boxers. But as soon as she was back downstairs, the giggling would start again, closer this time. Then there was the story of a man, a retired widower, living alone in a quiet suburban house. He told the investigators that every single morning, without fail, he would find small, child-sized handprints on his fogged-up bathroom mirror. He would wipe them away, but the next day, they would be back. He even tried leaving a camera in the bathroom, but the footage always glitched right around the time the prints would have appeared, showing nothing but static. These weren't just bumps in the night. These were detailed, deeply personal accounts that left a lasting scar on those who lived them. One of the most haunting stories came from a grieving mother. She saw her late husband, who had passed away in a car accident a year prior, standing at the foot of her bed every single night. The time was always the same, 3:07 a.m. She'd wake up, her heart frozen with a mix of terror and longing. He would just stand there, motionless, a silhouette against the faint moonlight. He never spoke, never moved, but she could feel his gaze on her, an intense, sorrowful stare. She said she wasn't scared of him, but of what he represented. It wasn't her husband, she insisted. It was something wearing his face. As the investigators delved deeper, compiling and cross-referencing the thousands of accounts, they started to notice something strange. These encounters weren't random. They weren't isolated incidents of overactive imaginations. There was a pattern, a connection that linked stories from continents apart. A woman in Japan described a shadowy figure with unnaturally long fingers, the same description given by a man in Brazil. A family in Canada reported a specific, recurring series of knocks on their walls, 3 quick taps. A pause. Tin to more the exact same pattern that a college student in Australia heard on his dorm room window. It was as if these people were all describing encounters with the same entities, the same phenomena, following the same set of rules. The deeper the team dug, the more the pattern solidified. The events often began after a significant life change. A move to a new house, the loss of a loved one, a period of intense stress or sadness. It seemed these entities were drawn to vulnerability, like predators sensing weakness in their prey. They realized they weren't just investigating haunted houses or haunted objects. The hauntings weren't tied to a location, they were tied to the people themselves. The phenomena followed them, no matter where they went. It was something ancient, something that had been watching humanity for a very, very long time. And it didn't just haunt homes, it seemed to haunt the people who dared to tell its story. Several individuals who had shared their experiences reported an escalation in activity right after contacting the investigators. The whispers grew louder. The shadows grew bolder. This unsettling realization sent a chill down the spines of the entire team. Were they putting these people in more danger simply by listening? Were they somehow amplifying the phenomenon? It was a terrifying thought, but they couldn't stop. They were too close. They felt a responsibility to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. They decided to re-examine all their original recordings. Every phone call, every audio submission. They spent days locked in their office, listening with high-fidelity headphones, filtering out background noise, enhancing the quiet moments between words. And that's when they found it. It was almost imperceptible at first, hidden beneath the static and the nervous breaths of the storytellers. A faint whisper woven into the silence between every caller's sentences. At first, they thought it was just audio artifacting, a glitch in the recordings, but it was there, on every single one, from the woman with the laughing child in the attic to the man with the handprints on his mirror. A voice that wasn't theirs. They isolated the sound, amplified it, and cleaned it up. The team gathered around the speakers, their faces pale in the glow of the monitor. They played it back. The whisper was clear now. It was a cold, sibilant voice, and it was saying the same thing over and over again, for simple, terrifying words that made the blood run cold. It said, "You've already let us in." The investigators stared at each other in horrified silence. The stories, the patterns, the whispers, it all clicked into place. This wasn't just about listening to ghost stories. The act of telling the story, of giving it voice, was the invitation. The moment these people shared their experience, they opened a door, and the investigators, by collecting these stories, by listening, had just swung that door wide open for themselves. Suddenly, a cold draft swept through the sealed office. A computer monitor on the far side of the room flickered and died. And from the darkest corner of the room, Te Ihard Italiana, not from the speakers this time, but from the shadows themselves. A faint, childlike giggle. They weren't just investigating the story anymore. They were a part of it, and the question that now hangs in the air, for them and for anyone who hears this, is a simple one. If telling the story is the invitation, what happens when you listen?